Originally an engineer, I thrive on solving well-defined problems with a clear path and solution. But in personal development, it isn't always that straightforward. So if you're currently feeling stuck, or you feel like you don't really get ahead, or it feels like stuff gets even worse, maybe you seem to not be able to reach your goals, or you seem to have always the same situations that are not really improving, or they seem to feel even like they're getting worse, then this video is for you. We're gonna talk about why that is and how you can make sure that you're staying on the right track. And hey, if this is the first time that we meet, I'm Jonas, and on this channel we talk about authenticity and personal growth. We provide tools and ideas that help you gain clarity, freedom, and fulfillment in your life. If you haven't yet, consider subscribing. So when I worked in consulting, giving workshops on personal development and leadership, we used this symbolic of the caterpillar that transforms into a butterfly to represent how transformation works in personal development. It's actually quite a good representation of how transformation really works, because transformation really starts out, you start to feel like you're making progress, and then you can get into this state where you feel like everything gets more dense and you feel like you don't really make progress, and it starts to get really thick. And this is a state where the caterpillar goes into its cocoon and starts to transform inside the cocoon, and everything is kind of densified, and then suddenly out of that cocoon comes a butterfly, all this beautiful butterfly, and he is transformed. And in personal development, it is also often like that you might actually, when you're in that phase, in that middle stage where you're in this cocooning phase, it might feel that you're actually not making progress. It might feel that stuff might even get worse. And if you're aware of that, you're going to be much more able to actually make headway in your transformation and be less worried as you're in the process. And I've actually had to realize this recently a couple of times, and I want to share a few stories for you to bring this point home, and also for you to be able to relate that to your situation and see if you're on the right track. So for example, one thing that recently happened to me was I got really triggered by a certain person in a training, and I felt like it was getting worse and getting worse, and I was starting to feel dependent, needy, and just really weird. And I felt whoa, I'm being so triggered, and I feel like I'm working on this topic, I'm working on that thing that's behind that, but I just don't seem to make headway. And it felt like it starts to get worse and worse and worse, and it felt like, what is happening? I'm actually working as a coach and working on all these topics, but I really feel like I'm not making headway with that. And then it got worse and worse, and I felt really miserable about that topic, and was how is it possible that this takes so much of my energy? And then at some point I kind of came out the other end, and now certainly it feels okay, this person doesn't I don't even really care about that person much anymore, or in the sense that this person doesn't really trigger me anymore, and I feel like I'm just super relaxed now. I kind of got out of the other end. And sometimes transformation can also sometimes feel like you're sailing on the sea, and you set sail towards some destination, and then on the way there you get into this big storm, and it feels like the whole universe is kind of against you, and you're oh my god, this is so it's so dangerous, all these things happening, I don't know how to get through that, and it can feel oh my god, I'm gonna die, and this is all the storm happening, and you're whoa. And then at some point you just get out this other end, and suddenly the sun is coming out, everything is beautiful, you see the seagulls in the air flying around, and you're whoa, life is beautiful. And this is sometimes how it can feel when you're in a transformational process. It feels like when you're in the storm, it feels whoa, I'm not making progress, what is happening? You start to doubt yourself, you start to feel am I even on the right path? Am I even on the right track? What is happening here? And then that phase is actually necessary for you to be able to really transform. Another example is, I've recently had quite a difficult time around money and a financial situation, and it started to get more intense, the tension rising, and feeling how can I get through that? I felt stuff gets worse, I don't really get ahead, what is happening? And it starts to densify, and starts to feel very it just doesn't feel to move, I'm working on it, but it just doesn't seem to change. And then at some point, I got to this really low point where I was this needs to change, what is happening? I'm not really making headway, and it got super dense. And at that point, it really felt I started to have a deep understanding, or deep realization, and something started to really shift. and something started to change, and suddenly like I got new clients and new things started to move, like new opportunities for business and stuff happening in my life. I'm like, whoa. But what was necessary was for me to go through this phase where stuff densified, where stuff felt like the tension is rising. And this is actually often how personal transformation really works. Like, it feels like you're densifying, the tension is rising. It's like this cooking, like rising high, like energy and, discomfort. But that is actually necessary to transform certain things, to be able to change certain things. The pressure is really sometimes necessary for you to be able to really morph into a new person, into to change a certain thing, a certain topic. Because some things that we have inside of ourselves that we want to change, they might not change if you just have this low little, everything is going fine, the one step ahead. Sometimes you need to go through this, sometimes painful or intense process and come out the other end back into the sunshine. And so if you currently have a goal that you want to reach, or you have some personal situation, maybe you're dating and you feel like you get always to the wrong person, and like the things are just getting worse, and you feel like you're being treated badly, or you don't seem to attract the right people, or you have some personal trigger that doesn't seem to change and it starts to even get worse. So if you're in that situation, it could well be that you're actually in this cocooning phase, in this storming phase, in this transformation phase, where stuff starts to get dense and tension is rising and stuff gets worse before it gets better. So don't be disheartened when you're in that situation, because that could really be part of your transformational process to be able to come out the other end transformed. But one thing to be really aware of is that sometimes you might actually not make progress because you're not on the right track. You might not be on the right path. And it's important for you to inquire inside of yourself and really feel and be honest. Am I on the right track? Is what I'm working on, or what I want to transform, or where I want to make headway, is that really aligned with my core being? Or might it be some superficial need that wants to be fulfilled, and this might be the motivation for you to want to change that? And it might not be aligned with your full being, like with your deeper being. And if that's the case, then it might get worse because it's actually not the right thing for you to do. And if you're not sure if you're on the right track, I would invite you to watch my video called How to Live Authentically, because there I talk about how you can feel more deeply inside of yourself what are the things you really want, what are to start to feel your impulses that are coming up, and start to feel where is what I'm feeling coming from, where is my motivation coming from, and where do I really want to go. And once you feel that you actually really aligned and you know that you're on the right track, then you can relax, because then you're most probably just in this storming, transforming, cocooning phase of the transformation. And if you just relax and continue on that path, you will come out the other end transformed. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got some value out of this video. And if you did, I would really appreciate you hitting the like button. And if you want to support my channel, I would really appreciate you subscribing to my channel, and also turn on notifications by pressing on the notifications bell, so you will be notified when new videos are going to come out. And hey, there are so many videos on this channel. I would love for you to watch some more of them. This one is the one where I talk about how to live authentically, and you can get deeper into understanding where the impulse is coming from and where do you really want to go in life. And this one is the video that YouTube thinks you would like the most. So have fun watching and have a great day. Goodbye, everyone.